The opening tracks of this album and the last one are both rather risque.
Of this album and the last album?
Yeah, so Stereotypes and Girls and Boys. But why do you open both albums with?
Risque? I don't know. They just sort of, when we listen back to all the songs for each album, they were the most appropriate openers, I suppose. I suppose if you're dealing with with sort of sexual innuendo, the sound of the music is going to be quite sort of quite up and in your face. So it's probably an appropriate way to start an album each time.
The song Stereotypes deals with the subject of wife swapping, which I guess in and of itself is a rather direct way of establishing impact with your listener.
But it's wife swapping is the future. It doesn't actually talk about the actual act of it, which is just
metaphor.
I mean, all the songs are projections about what could happen to an individual in the future. Probably myself. They're not necessarily have happened or will happen. They're just the sort of aspects of the same sort of grim inevitability of living a life.
You love it.
Which bit did I lose you on?
Pardon?
Which bit did I lose you on?
So you want to deal with the grim
inevitability of life? Yeah.
And you're saying, well, wife swapping.
Well, it's an aspect of what could happen in the future to me.
Oh, I see.
And me being all the characters, and all the characters being, the result of my feelings that I have. They are not me, but I suppose I'm just like anyone else. So I assume that if I sing about other people, I'm singing about myself.
You talked about that with you last month. Is there something that resonates with your future at all, or is it more something just in the realm of fantasy?
It's just.
I don't know. Are we reading too much into this?
Yeah.
The sexual in Stereotypes. There's no songs throughout The Great Escape that directly deal. There are no direct sexual expressions.
No, I don't. It's not really in my nature to be like that. I suffer from a very English disease of not being able to express myself that well sexually.
So very English bands like Suede would be sexually outrageous. So that's something you're not equipped to handle with.
Well, I can handle it. I just don't choose to sing about it. I haven't felt the need to sing about it.
But for the song Dan Abnormal, which I guess is an anagram of your name, the character, the protagonist talks about seeing a lean dream in the early hours of the morning.
Well, he watched pornography.
It's actually watching pornography. Or is it a dream?
No.
He actually
he has a bad dream after watching it.
Oh, I see. But he's actually looked at pornography.
Yeah. He's drunk and he's watched pornography. That's what most people do when they're on their own and they're drunk. In one form or another.
Not that nasty dream that you see as well.
Well,
that's for.
I think if you want to, why I put that in there at all, bother to give someone a nasty dream after watching pornography. I just think it has a bad effect on people. I think the whole sort of the overwhelming, visual and emotional thing you get when you participate in any kind of pornography that isn't sort of emotionally related. There's no personal contact. I think it leaves you a bit sort of scarred. It's like taking drugs, really. the same sort of thing. It has that very specific effect on you, and you know exactly what you can get out of it. But I think afterwards you feel a bit empty. You know, I think this album is just packed full of those sorts of coming to terms with the fact that you know the only way to really find yourself is to just start with the basic things and try and maintain, you know, sense of
Yano, your approach to songwriting seems to be to take certain characters and develop them within the framework of a story. Would it be reading too much into your approach for us to think that you're doing this as a means of preventing the public from characterizing you, to take the focus off of you, keep the focus on the character?
I don't worry about that. That's not what I'm concerned with. But I do. You see, I don't know whether this is true of all songwriters, but for me, certainly, I find writing songs that are quite a prophetic process. You know, you write something and you end up in sort of embodying what the song is about in the future. So you know, so I've always been very good at visualising my own future, not just distant future, but you know. So yeah, it's a weird thing, really. You're sort of writing about things that inevitably are going to happen to you, which is all rather dark, but it's sort of that's the way I write. Another way of putting it is that you write about an experience that you've had, put it into a song, or if you're an author, you put it into a book or whatever, and then you have the same experience again in the future, and it gives you that illusion that you've actually predicted that experience. You've already had it, but it's more intense because you've already got a song which you've written about that experience, and so you're sort of, the song is mocking you, you know.
But when you wrote the song, you hadn't realized that you were writing like yourself in the first place.
Yeah, but then you find out that you have.
Before you go to modern day, do you think you're the type of person you can fit into the little worlds you're creating in these songs? Or can you be the protagonist in each one of those things?
No, not simply that, but I can definitely, I feel the mood myself. It is my own mood, which is what any album should be from someone else. I don't think what is making happen somehow reflect your mood.
You know, this is a question that compares you with the Manic Street Preachers, a classic group of, I guess, what you call angry young men, for one reason or another. In their case, the impulse to project a message, the impulse to create, seems to be very clear. In your case, from where does that impulse come? And do you ever feel like the well runs dry from time to time, that you don't quite have the urge and the impulse is not as apparent as theirs is?
Well, no, I just don't believe in saying something in a completely direct way. I think I just wasn't brought up like that. I don't come from that kind of visceral, from the heart school of expression. I come from, my family are educated, and I've always, I was brought up with art and with theatre and with books, and in some way maybe I'm disabled in the sense that I can't just connect exactly, immediately with what I feel. I have to sort of make funny songs and acting like a clown, really, to sort of say what I want to say. I can't just get on stage and say it.
彼らと違うのはだからもう色作っていう getting back to what the original question was about, being unable to express yourself because you're not able to play the clown or for some other reason.
Oh, I see, right.
Something gets in the way of that.
What do I do?
Pardon?
What do I do?
Yeah, does it happen, first of all? Is that a problem?
Does it happen? Occasionally, I don't think anyone is capable to connect with what they feel and the means of expressing how they feel on a daily basis. And sometimes you feel absolutely nothing. And it's best to just go and do some cooking or gardening or whatever. Days like that.
Right. That's how for anybody. That's not just you.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I don't do gardening actually. I just cook or play football or play for woods.
About having to contrive certain persona to express yourself.
Yeah.
There seems to be there's an inconsistency he sees in your music, in that the lyrical content tends to be rather ironical or jaded or cynical, and that's in direct contrast to the songs themselves, which are lyrical, sad in a beautiful sort of way. So you get these two extremes there. What exactly accounts for that? Is that again another contrivance on your part?
I don't know. I just feel more comfortable. I can write lyrical, sad tunes every day of the year. I find that very easy because I'm a lyrical, sad sort of person. But there's another side of me which is believes in being strong and in a way to a strength. I think is to be able to, rise above your own, not become, best word to express it. Self-pity is a terrible, terrible thing. And if you accompany sad music with self-pity in the lyrics,
I see.
I think it doesn't appeal to me. I find it a bit, I can take it in small doses, but when people devote their entire lives to self-pity, I'm not interested.
Right.
So writing lyrics that are well-formed and are cynical is a way of sort of balancing all of that self-pity.
Maybe reading a bit too much into the situation, he says. However, maybe in attempting to write, try to come across as jaded and cynical is your way of disguising your own naivete, in a sense. It's a romantic side of it. You don't want people to see that.
Yeah, I suppose that's true to a degree, but
it's just more aesthetic.
Yeah.
Aesthetic balance.
Yeah, I think so. But there is a degree of that, obviously.
So you kind of the concept of writing a lovely, sad melody with lovely and sad lyrics kind of turns your stomach.
So another.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just maybe this was, as we said earlier, it's designed not to be completely caught out. I don't want to be, I don't want to present all of myself.
Oh, I see, yeah.
照れくさいんじゃないの?
Yeah, that's what I think. It embarrasses you.
It doesn't embarrass me. It's not the way I choose to get up in the morning and do my thing and go to bed. Right.
Getting back to your music, though, we characterize your music in this way. It's the type of melody that maybe two people who are very close, two lovers, the type of feeling or mood lovers enjoy in privacy. That's how you characterize it. Is that the way you would look at it as well?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're putting in the floweriness of term.
Yes.
Well, just for the record, you read somewhere in an interview, you said the greatest dilemma you faced in making this album was becoming a pop person yourself. What do you think you meant by that? How does one become pop? What exactly do you think?
Well, I probably meant by that was that related to what we've been talking to in the beginning, is that you embody what you sing about and what people see. You just become what you say you are. You seek to a person and become a such person. Now, I have curious for me. It's not a dilemma, but it's interesting because my pop persona is based on being very normal. They're very presentable, normal clothes, being very sort of down to earth and fairly straightforward. The sort of person you could just meet in the street and you wouldn't really know that you've met anyone. So the fine line between who I am and what my person I've presented is very fine, so they're virtually the same person, but there are differences you see, and it's not like David Bowie with his lightning bolt over his face or anything, which you can take off and go off and be another David Bowie. With me, I go off stage and I'm exactly the same, and there's no difference. There's absolutely no difference.
So getting back to the dilemma,
well, it's not a dilemma. It's just because there's no real defining, there's no cut-off point between the two people.
I see. So that's what you were.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So what exactly you think you made the difference then? Presenting something different. You said when you performed, you're pretty much the same as you always were.
Well,
how did you make the difference? You talked about that being one of the difficulties.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's just sometimes you have to sort of think about it. You have to think about it. You can't just take it for granted. You have to sort of. People come up to you in the street and you think, well, am I the person that they see and they've read about, or are they meeting me? And obviously they're meeting me, but because the person that I'm on stage is so similar to me. Do you understand what I mean? It's a curiosity. It's an interesting thing that an individual has to come to terms with. I know. It comes under the simple battle of being famous, but it's more than that. It's not just being recognisable. It's being recognisable as somebody who is virtually the same as the person who wasn't recognisable.
But you say that's not really a problem. It's just something you have to.
Yeah, it's not a problem because a lot of people are recognisable as something completely different to what they are, and they have a huge dilemma about it because they end up not knowing who they are. Whereas mine is so fine, it's very easy to switch between the two, and no one really notices. That's the thing. The world, it's just another part of that.
The big contest it was make number one. You were Oasis there. There's constantly comparisons being made in the music front.
Yeah.
Some people seem to perceive it as a middle class versus working class.
Yeah.
And others maybe saw it as a comparison between two so-called sex symbols.
Sex symbols. Very different kinds of sex symbols. Yes. The reason why it attracted so much attention and caught people's imagination was because on virtually on every single issue, you could have a debate about the differences between the two, So that's why it was interesting because exactly that. But It was
you can't contrast in virtually every way.
in virtually every single way, and that's why it was, you know, it was an interesting thing. I don't think, I mean, at the end of the day, nothing was resolved, and the world, I don't think the world's any more enlightened as a result of it, but is the world ever more enlightened by the pop music?
So, what do you got?